The stains of my blood shall guide the world forward.
My Hero Academia Vigilantes episode 6 is out, titled Crossing Lines. Of course, we're going to be breaking down the episode as well as the entire season each week, so be sure to Detroit, smash that like button and subscribe to the Kitorogi channel so that you won't miss any My Hero Academia Vigilantes content. Now, the episode begins with a flashback at a restaurant. Rojiya Yonenaga of the Abigawa Tenchu gang is being told from a fellow gang member that all of their names are going to be headed straight to the villains list. Rojiya is okay with this as they all must follow their paths, even if that path leads them to facing off against All Might himself. On his way back home, the anime skips over Rojiya taking a manhole cover from the street, which is why he gets his name Rojiya the Manhole, aka Jay's Lid. And even his backstory is taken away from here, where it turns out that in battles against rival gangs, his weapon is a manhole cover. Serving as a shield, the manhole covers over time have helped him survive hundreds of blades and bullets. Since the advent of quirks, the Tenchu gang has been designated as a villain organization. The lieutenants are known for their powerful quirks, but what makes them really dangerous is how fast they leap into battle. One night, Stendhal breaks into the gang's hideout and they all instantly leap into action, as we see that each member of the gang is a reference to Marvel's Avengers. Tetsu the Tank is a nod to Iron Man with the Hulkbuster design, Soji the Hammer is Thor, Haruhisa the Barehanded is the Incredible Hulk, and Rojiya is the gang's Captain America. As Rojiya was going to throw the manhole at Stendhal, we see Stendhal licking his arm covered in bloody band-aids filled with the blood of all of the members, paralyzing all of them in an instant. Of course, this means that Stendhal has revealed himself to be the future hero killer Stain, and at this point in the timeline, he is hunting down villains and not heroes who he deems to be frauds. With the group now defenseless, they are all cut down by Stendhal. Some henchmen charge into the room who are also references to more Avengers members, them being Hawkeye, Black Widow, and the Winter Soldier, and Stendhal ends their lives as well. I mean, you just have to love My Hero Academia's references to Marvel. As Stendhal is changing into his civilian clothes, Hachisuka calls out to him and he explains to her that he isn't Stendhal. Stendhal is someone who has become more than human. Stendhal is judgment personified. But when he takes off his mask, he is just an ordinary citizen who works towards the ideals of true heroism. It turns out that Stain and Hachisuka are working together, as she was the one to provide him with the blood of the Tenchu gang members. And since she helped him, she now gets to decide his next targets. He tells Hachisuka that Stendhal will eventually come for her too, but until then, she has value to him. Hachisuka pulls out the pictures of Soga and his crew, along with Akira's the rock villain he killed at the end of episode 5, and tells Stendhal about these villains in Naruhata. In the present, we see Soga and Moyura visiting Rapt at the hospital, recovering from their use of Trigger a few episodes ago. While the crew smokes, Rapt thinks about how despite Trigger getting them into that big mess, it was an amazing experience to have been able to fly. Moyura recalls Trigger boosting his firepower, and Rapt compares him to Endeavor. Soga asks Rapt if he would ever want to fly again, and Rapt says no because Trigger led him to a hospital. At night, Soga meets with Hachisuka, telling her that his friends aren't going to be a part of this anymore. Hachisuka tells Soga about the Tenchu gang massacre in the Danto ward, warning Soga that him and his crew might become the killer's next target. Soga tells her that he will take on the killer himself, further not wanting to involve his friends into this whole mess. Stendhal, tired of the charades, comes out from behind Hachisuka, ready to cut down Soga in order to move on to the next ones on the list. Hachisuka offers Soga Trigger so that he can fight for his life. Soga smacks the drugs away, only wanting to fight Stendhal without the need of Trigger. Disappointed with Soga's actions, Hachisuka sends out bees stinging Soga. He notices her giving him a condescending grin, and as he undergoes his Trigger transformation, he thinks of all of the people who have grinned at him the same way, and we see Koichi and Pop Step are among the people who have looked at him in this way. But this is important because we know that neither Koichi or Pop had looked at Soga in this way. For Soga, he feels like an outcast compared to the rest of society for being discriminated against because of his quirk, which brings us back to one of the main themes of My Hero Academia on how people aren't born equally and how society will judge those based on how heroic or villainous a person's quirk makes them look. As Soga fully transforms into this monstrous porcupine, he claims the people who looked at him in this way made him into a monster. Koichi arrives on the scene, seeing Stendhal and Soga in a standoff. Stendhal tells Koichi that he's going to end Soga's life, and at first Koichi didn't think Stendhal was being serious until he sliced Soga's chest. Koichi jumps into action, pushing back Stendhal and carries an injured Soga on his back. Stendhal throws a blade at the back of Koichi's leg, bringing him to the ground, and tells Koichi to not get in his way. Still set on saving Soga, Koichi uses his quirk to slide away, as his only option is to run away, and Stendhal then uses his quirk, Blood Curdle, licking Koichi's blood, paralyzing him as he now considers Koichi to be a villain for aiding Soga. Just as he is about to kill Koichi and Soga, Knuckle Duster jumps down from the rooftop saying, "I am here." Stendhal tells Knuckle Duster that he has no problems with him as they are the same, and Knuckle Duster states that he's a badass ally of justice while Stendhal is some mad slasher. Knuckle gives Stendhal a chance to either walk away or cross a line made from his wire and eat a Knuckle sandwich. Stendhal realizes that the rope's distance represents Knuckles' attack range, and he becomes set on crossing that line. Stendhal believes that his skills surpass ordinary understanding, so Knuckle won't be able to time his attack right. Stendhal truly believes himself to be a hero, a person able to cross boundaries just like All Might, a hero we know Stain admires, who does get added into the anime to show who Stain is trying to live up to in this moment. But in a twist, Knuckle Duster becomes the one to step over the line, throwing Stendhal off and punches the mask off of Stendhal, sending him flying back. Now, it's clear to note that with Stendhal having his mask and samurai style top knot in his design, once his mask falls off and his hair becomes undone, it's meant to be symbolic for the ideals he followed, constraining him finally having come loose. After picking up Stendhal's mask, Knuckle Duster states that he wears the mask to sink into the role of Stendhal. Guys like Stendhal put on a costume in order to convince themselves that they're different from their everyday selves, which makes them dangerous since they go charging in, ignoring all common sense and safety. But when someone challenges them, it turns out that they're fragile. Stendhal is human, and what happened to him just now is the consequence of forgetting that simple fact, meaning he didn't have any resolve. This all gets perfectly represented through Koichi putting on the All Might hoodie and seeing All Might reflected through a mirror, losing that sense of reality. Hearing this, Stendhal becomes inspired by Knuckle Duster's words and attacks Knuckle, being able to make him bleed. Stendhal falls back, licking the blood of Knuckle Duster, paralyzing him, and announces his new ideals, claiming that there are those who are even more sinful than villains, ones who lack resolve yet still applaud themselves. Sham heroes will be his new targets. He thanks Knuckle for teaching him a lesson of stripping away his mask and ignorance of hero society, and he leaves the heroes behind. Pop Step comes in to patch them up, and Koichi is just glad that both him and Soga were able to make it out alive. At an abandoned house, we see Stendhal talking to himself in front of a mirror about how much he lacks, but his biggest shortcoming is his resolve. Hachiska behind Stendhal says that there's nothing interesting about resolve, no matter how much he has, and Stendhal throws a knife at her, going inside of her eye patch, bringing her down. He then cuts off his nose, proving his resolve as he no longer needs a mask to fully embody his persona. He walks away claiming that he finally sees the true nature of the world. Hachiska surprisingly gets back up, revealing that her bees had stopped the knife from killing her, and she calls Stendhal a narcissist, but she still finds him interesting regardless. The episode ends with Stendhal stating that he is the faceless ideal, one who acts without existing. He will dye the world red, with the blood that flows from him being proof enough, leaving a path in his wake, a path to serve as a guide for others. His stains of blood will never fade, finally completing his transformation into the hero killer Stain. Now, this episode covered 3 chapters, one of them being the 9.5 special chapter and chapters 10 and 11. This episode was amazing. We finally got to see the origins of Stain and how he ended up gaining his determination to hunt down sham heroes, with his arc continuing years later in My Hero Academia. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the 6th episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. With that said, be sure to Detroit smash that like button, and if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to subscribe to the Kidoroki channel with notifications on so that you don't miss any My Hero Academia Vigilantes content, and I'll see you all in the next one.